Hello, beautiful artists. Welcome back to another Art Life Conversations. I am your host and fellow artist, Kelly Folsom. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I wanted to talk with you about deepening your commitment to your craft as an artist. So I recently made a post on Facebook sharing a memory from about 8 years ago. It was a photo of a sunrise painting. And in this post, I shared that at that time that I was really struggling with anxiety and stress, and basically struggling to show up at my easel and paint and create. Maybe you can relate. Let me know in the comments if that's where you're at now. And let me know also in the comments why you think, or why you feel that you're in that space right now. So I shared this post on Facebook, and a lot of people commented and very openly and vulnerably shared their different experiences and reasons for not showing up and creating their art right now. And there was kind of a few different categories that some of the responses ended up falling into, and maybe you're feeling like this is the reason why you're not showing up right now too. One of the responses was, basically life is just crazy right now. I've gone through a hard time, and I put my art on the back burner. I haven't made my art a priority any longer. And they're kind of like living in crisis response mode, whether that is health issues or maybe life issues like, a financial change in your life, or maybe even things like good things like building a home or even building a new studio. But life changes, right? Like life circumstances, life changes, interruptions, the change in routine and the distractions that these things can bring into our life. If we do not have a really strong commitment to our craft and to our practice, then basically our creating and our art will fall by the wayside quite easily, especially if we deem a lot of these other things to be much more important. And especially if we are living our life based on reactive mode and not in a conscious intention setting creation mode as creators. So anytime in my experience as a creator and what I've witnessed with other creators, anytime that I've seen myself and others not creating and not prioritizing creating, for me, it's an indicator that we as creators are just not living with the intention of creating and being creators. We're not living intentionally. We're not living our days. We're not waking up to our days intentionally. We're letting life happen to us and saying, my art doesn't matter anymore, or I don't have time for my art anymore. So that was one of the buckets or one of the categories that I felt like the responses coming in were for. Another category that was a big one was I'm disappointed with the quality of my work. I get discouraged. I want to get better, and no matter how hard I try, I don't feel like my work is getting better or my work isn't good enough. And maybe you can relate to that. And so whenever we get really attached to the end result or to the outcome, and we place a lot of maybe sometimes even too high of standards on ourselves for where we're at in our development. I think it's great to have super high standards and to be a high achiever and to really push ourselves. I'm definitely one of those people. I'm very grateful that I am. And I also have experienced myself the dark side of that, which is sometimes just like not being able to enjoy the process and actual enjoyment of the painting, and being patient, right? Or getting so freaking fed up. Here's the flip side. Sometimes you do need to get so fed up that you say, enough of this. Yeah, my work isn't improving. Why is that? Why? And really getting curious about it. Sometimes even a little anger, right? A little frustration, a little enough of this. I'm going to change. I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to take radical responsibility for the level of skill that I feel I have right now as an artist. Instead of just like sitting back and doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result, right? That's, as we know, the cliche, the definition of insanity. And I get it. I've been there too. So if you're in that camp, right, of, I get discouraged because the quality of my work is not to where I want it to be, and then it makes me lose motivation. Well, all of that is from a very victim mindset, right? And I'm not good enough, and just kind of expecting something to change. So in those kinds of cases, a decision has to be made. If you have too high of a standard, if you're trying to hold yourself to way too high of a standard, you're like a severe perfectionist right now, and you need to cool your jets a little bit on that. You need to be happy and celebrate yourself for where you're at right now while continuing to do the work to try to improve your work. But you can see it doesn't make any sense. Like if we stop creating, that's not going to help us improve our work. So you can see this kind of like loop that we take ourselves in. And I've been in all of these places, and more than once I've been in these places. But the loop of that is like beating ourselves up for not being good enough, but then not doing anything to change it, and then not doing the very thing that actually would help us get better, which would be investing in our education, digging in deeper on our commitment to our craft, right? Changing up strategies and how we're learning or how we're painting, perhaps, changing up strategies and how we're working. The other category that came up, which I thought was really interesting, and I relate to this one a lot too, was laziness. Laziness. I'm just downright lazy, or my housework, my routine, daily life, especially for folks who maybe are retired, I hear this a lot too with women or with caregivers, or just, in that role in the household, and they're trying to create their art from home. I do that too. My studio is currently in my home. And they list off things like, well, laundry, housework, cooking, all of these things that are their routine tasks and to-dos, as we all have, myself included. I don't have a maid. I don't have a cook. I don't have anybody to do my laundry either. So this is the other category. And then usually they'll also say like, yeah, I'm just lazy. So to me, there's a couple of things that go on there. One is just we either we haven't made space in our routine in our life for our art. Again, we basically have a routine, habits in place to fold that laundry, to cook that dinner, to prepare, the meals or work in the garden. We already kind of have like a set point of how we live our daily life. And then whenever we try to introduce something that we say is important to us and that we value, like painting or creating into that, first of all, things have to rearrange. You've already filled up the space of your schedule, right? You have maybe a schedule to read your favorite books or talk on the phone to your family members or watch TV in the evening, taking the dog out for a walk, right? These are things that perhaps you already have like a routine schedule set up. And it may just be that you just haven't made any space in your routine. You haven't rearranged your routine at all to make space for you to create. That could be one problem there. It could just be like a logistical issue, right? Of restructuring your day, getting it on the calendar. I always say, like, if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to get done. If it's not a routine habit, or if it's not on the calendar, it's just not going to get done, right? So other things are going to slide in, to take. Somebody's going to call you, the dog's going to need to go to the vet or go for a walk or something. So the other response that often got lumped with that, almost as if like, almost after the list of all the, well, housework gets in the way and things like that, the next thing was laziness. And I find that really interesting because if you are so lazy, how are you keeping up with all of your housework? How are you keeping up with all of your laundry? I think how are you keeping up with all of your cooking and meal prep and meal planning, right? And all of your grocery shopping. If you're so lazy, how are you doing all of these other things, but not your painting, right? So I really don't think that laziness is actually a thing. I think that, and I was called lazy a lot as a kid, by the way. And really what it was, and it was usually around chores and housework, like cleaning the baseboards or, things like that I just didn't want to do. And I didn't find it enjoyable. And I didn't see any purpose behind doing those things other than I would get in trouble if I didn't do them. Right. So I don't really think laziness is an actual thing, personally. I think it really comes down to, like what I just said, like what's behind the avoidance? Is it just a logistical issue of like creating our routine, changing our routine, creating a new habit for ourselves, setting a structure for that creating time? Or is it more of an internal adjustment and change that needs to happen, like deepening your reason why you want to do this thing, right? So I feel like laziness oftentimes is either you're disinterested, you're actually not really that interested in it, which I don't think is the case for a lot of artists and creators. I think more of the reason is like you don't have a strong enough sense of purpose or reason why to do that thing, right? Like it maybe just feels like a little floofy, like the commitment level is just low on your priority list. Like you're super committed to cooking a meal for your family, right? You're super committed to washing all that laundry every week, right? But when it comes to your art making, your commitment level is low. So why is that, right? Well, you probably have a huge list of reasons why you think it's super important for you to cook those meals for your family. Well, because I love my family and it's my responsibility to take care of them. It's my act of service. It's my act of love. It's how I show up in my household. It's how I show up as a good partner, a good wife, a good mother, a good grandmother. You probably have such a long list of subconscious reasons. Like if I were to say to you, well, just stop doing your laundry, you say, but Kelly, I can't do that. Or if I were to say to you, well, why do you have to cook all the meals? Well, because I do. So that's the thing is like we do the things that we have enough reasons why to do them. We believe in those reasons, right? Like we believe in the reasons why it's important for us to provide meals for our family every day. We believe in the reasons why to walk the dog, for example. Well, the dog has to be walked, and I have to be the one to walk it, you know? So really look at that, even those simple things, nothing is simple, nothing is, we don't do things, just to be doing them, right? Like we all have reasons to do them. I have reasons to show up and film this podcast right now. I have a deep, burning passion and desire to do these podcasts. I have a deep desire and reason why it's important for me to record this, both for myself as an artist and for other artists who potentially are out there that's going to hear this and this is going to serve them and support them right now where they're at. Okay. So you see how that works, right? So it's not laziness. I invite you to consider that it's just not laziness. It's really looking at like, oh, I didn't realize I didn't have enough reasons and enough belief and enough burning desire and passion and purpose behind my creating to deepen my commitment to it. So let me do that. Let me find all the reasons why this is important. Let me explore that. Let me get curious about that. If we don't believe in something, we're not going to show up. We don't believe it's important, we don't believe it's necessary, we won't show up. So today I'm challenging all of us, myself included, to deepen our commitment to creating because it's so important. What we do really does matter, really is important. And whenever we show up for ourselves, other people are going to see that and benefit from that, right? Back then, 8 years ago, with the post that I shared on my Facebook page, I was showing up for myself and for my own art and for my own artistic voice and healing my own creative spirit. And I was the only one that was keeping me from that. And I was the only one that could give that to myself too. And whenever I did that, it spoke to people whenever I shared it, so I would start to post my sunrise paintings in the mornings. And a couple of people commented on the Facebook post, I have one of those sunrise paintings. It was so inspiring, So whenever we show up for ourselves and we take radical responsibility for our creation and for our art, and we really dig deep into stacking all the reasons, all the beliefs, why making our art matters, because your art does matter and your art dreams matter. But you have to convince yourself of that. Nobody else can do it for you. I can't do it for you. You have to convince yourself of that. And here's the thing, whenever we value something, we invest in it, right? We make changes in our life. Like I changed my whole life to go to art school, and I invested money in it too. I invested $100,000 to go to art school, right? And I'm not saying that you need to do that, but commitment requires skin in the game, right? So some form of skin in the game, some form of deepening that commitment, whether that's, commitment to your routine, in your schedule, whether that's deepening your commitment by investing in yourself more in that area, getting better quality education instead of just watching like 500 YouTube videos and hoping that you're going to get better as an artist, like actually sticking to a path, finding a teacher and a mentor that you can study with and under and get guidance from. So commitment requires investment, and investment can come in a lot of different shapes and forms, right? Both time commitment, physical commitment, mental focus and commitment, emotional commitment, deepening that belief, deepening that purpose, and financial commitment too. And whenever we can make that commitment on all those levels, you can't do anything but rise. You can't do anything but rise up. Your success is inevitable at that point. But it does require all of those commitments, right? Physical, time, emotional, financial. Requires all of those. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with that. Please know that I have myself fallen prey to all of these loops. That's what they are. It's like you're like a dog chasing your own tail kind of thing. It's frustrating, it's suffering. And you're the only one that can break yourself out of it, is what I want to share with you today. Nobody else can do it for you. So what is it going to be for you? How are you going to break yourself out of that? How are you going to take back your power, take back your control again in your artistic life? Because you only get one, right? You only get this one art life here to be an artist and to shine. So thank you all so much to be here. For being here. I do want to let you know that if you're interested in working with me more privately, I do have the mastermind mentorship is open for enrollment. I'm only taking 7 new masterminders in that program. So you can check out the link below for that in this video. And this is only open twice a year. So if you're at all interested in that, you need to, go and check out that link and then shoot me an email with any questions that you have before the deadline for the enrollment doors close. The other option, if you're interested in working with me, is our Art Life School community. That's another, pathway where you can get regular instruction and feedback from me. That's a larger group. The mastermind is a smaller private group. And that is the closest thing that I do to private mentoring, is in the mastermind mentorship program. And if it's not me that is meant to be your teacher and mentor, then I hope that you go out and you find the right path for you. Okay, because we need you and we need your art. All right, everybody, until next time, much love, happy creating.